So in the previous session, we were discussing about the various methods of sterilization, and we concluded with moist heat sterilization, which comes under the physical agents. The next topic under physical agents is radiation. There are two types of radiations used. First one is non-ionizing radiation, for example UV rays. These are electromagnetic wave rays with longer wavelength. They are absorbed as heat and they are used in rapid mass sterilization of pre-packed syringes and catheters. The UV radiation around 260 nanometer is quite lethal, but it does not penetrate glass, dirt films, water and other substances very effectively. UV lamps are sometimes placed on the ceilings of rooms or in biological safety cabinets to sterilize the air and any exposed surfaces. Since this UV radiation burns the skin and damages eyes, people working in such areas must be careful about it. And the next one is ionizing radiations. For example, X-rays, gamma rays, cosmic rays. These radiations have a high penetrating power. So when using, there is no appreciable increase in the temperature. So this is termed as cold sterilization. Since there is no increase in temperature, this particular type of sterilization method is termed as cold sterilization or gamma radiation sterilization. Ionizing radiation is an excellent sterilizing agent and penetrates deep into objects, unlike UV radiations, and it will destroy bacterial endospores and vegetative cells, and it is used to sterilize plastic syringes, catheters, grease fabrics. There comes the end to the physical methods of sterilization. Now let's see the mechanical method of sterilization, that's filtration. Filtration helps to remove bacteria from heat labile liquids such as serum and solutions of sugar, antibiotics. Rather than directly destroying contaminating microorganisms, the filter simply removes them. There are two types of filters mainly. They are depth filters and membrane filters. These depth filters consist of fibrous or granular materials that have been bonded onto a thick layer filled with twisting channels of small diameter. In this, some examples of depth filters are candle filters, which is widely used for purification of water. And in that there are two types. The unclay ceramic filter and the diatomaceous earth filters. And there are asbestos filters. For example, seeds filter, asbestos disc. Asbestos filters are disposable single-use discs. They have a high absorbing tendency, but they are carcinogenic. Next example of depth filter is sintered glass filter. It is prepared by heat fusing powder glass particles of graded size. It can be cleaned easily, but it's expensive and brittle. The next type of filters are the membrane filters. So these membrane filters have replaced depth filters for many purposes. These circular filters are porous membranes and it's a little over 0.1 micrometer thick. It is made up of cellulose acetate, cellulose nitrate, polycarbonate, polyvinylidene fluoride or other synthetic materials. A wide variety of pore sizes are available for these membrane filters, but the most widely used ones are 0.2 micrometer in diameter, and they are used for water purification and analysis, for sterilization and sterility testing. Beside liquid, air can also be sterilized by filtration. For example, the surgical mask we are using and the cotton plugs on culture vessels that let air in but keep the microorganisms out. And other important examples are laminar flow biological safety cabinets or LAF, which employ high efficiency particulate air HEPA filters. It's a type of depth filter to remove 99.97% of zero point 0.3 micrometer particles. This safety cabinets force air through HEPA filters and then project a vertical curtain of sterile air across the cabinet opening. This protects a worker from microorganisms being handled within the cabinet and prevents contamination of the room. So these are employed in every research labs, industries, pharmaceutical industries, or anywhere a sterile working surface is required, we have to employ a LAF. So we concluded with the physical agents and the mechanical methods of sterilization. The physical agents involve the heat treatment that involve dry and moist heat sterilization, and the radiation, which included ionization and non-ionization radiation, and the mechanical methods include the filtration of air and liquids. And now we can talk about chemical agents. So physical agents are generally used to sterilize objects, whereas chemicals on the other hand are more often employed in disinfection and antisepsis. And also chemicals are also employed to prevent microbial growth in food. Although the chemical must be toxic for the infectious agents, it should not be toxic to people or corrosive for common materials. Chemotherapeutic agents are the chemicals that can be used internally to kill or inhibit the growth of microbes within the host tissues. They can be used internally because they have selective toxicity. That is, they will be only targeting the microbe, and there will be relatively little harm to the host. Most used chemotherapeutic agent is or antibiotics. They are the chemicals synthesized by the microbes that are effective in controlling the growth of bacteria. Chemical agents act by protein coagulation, disruption of the cell membrane, removal of the sulfhydric groups, and by substrate competition. So by this methods, they will be nearly damaging the microorganisms that is present in the surface. So now just have a look at the common chemical agents that being used for sterilization. The first one is alcohol, that is ethanol or isopropyl alcohol, that is we frequently used, but it's not having any action on the spores. It will be only effective against the vegetative phase, and the concentration recommended is about 60 to 90% in water, and it has been used for as a disinfecting agent for clinical thermometer, for the disinfection of the skin. The next one is aldehydes. It includes formaldehyde and glutaraldehyde. They are highly reactive molecules that combine with nucleic acids and proteins, and they inactivate the organism, probably by cross-linking and alkylating molecules. They are sporicidal and can be used as chemical sterilants, and it is used to disinfect hospital, laboratory equipment. It is also effective, this glutaraldehyde is also effective against tubercle bacilli, fungi, viruses. The other one is halogens. In this, iodine is the main halogen that is used as a sterilizing agent, especially as a skin disinfectant. It's actively bactericidal, that is, it will kill the bacteria. Cidal means to kill. And the other halogen that is being used is a chlorine and its components. We know that it is being frequently used in swimming pools and other water supplies. And the next important one is the phenols or phenolics. Phenol was the first widely used antiseptic and disinfectant. It's obtained from distillation of coal tar, and they are powerful microbicidal agent and being widely used as a disinfectant for various purposes in hospital, for example Lysol and Cresol. But they have a disagreeable odor and can cause skin irritations. And there are also a few sterilizing gases. The first one is ethylene oxide. It's colorless and highly penetrating gas with a sweet ethereal smell. It's microbicidal and sporicidal. And it's killed by combining with cell proteins. It rapidly penetrates the packing material, even the plastic wraps. But it is having a toxic effect. The extensive use is not promoted much, and its uses are used for sterilizing heart-lung machines, respirators, dental equipments, books and clothings, glass, metal and paper surfaces. These all things can be sterilized using ethylene oxide. The next sterilizing gas is beta-propionolactone or BPL. It is also occasionally employed as a sterilizing gas. In liquid form, it is used to sterilize vaccines and serum. It's also used in fumigation and has a rapid biocidal activity. It's very effective against viruses. And it also destroys microorganisms more rapidly than the ethylene oxide. But one of its disadvantages is that it does not penetrate materials well and it can be carcinogenic. And we can also use quaternary ammonium compounds. These are detergents that have antimicrobial activity and are effective disinfectants. The cationic detergents like benzalgonium chloride and cetylpyridinium chloride, it will kill most bacteria. And it is used as a disinfectant for food utensils, small instruments, and in skin as a skin antiseptic. And their antimicrobial activity is the result of their ability to disrupt the microbial membranes, and they also denature the proteins that is present in the microorganisms. And finally, heavy metals such as mercury, silver, arsenic, zinc and copper, it is also used as germicides. It acts by coagulating proteins. In some hospitals, 1% silver nitrate solution has been added to the eyes of infants to prevent ophthalmic gonorrhea. And also copper sulfate is an effective algicide in lakes and swimming pools. It can prevent algae formation when we are using copper sulfate. So that comes to the end of the topic. So in this session, we discussed about the various methods of sterilization that included physical, mechanical and chemical methods. Physical methods mainly included heat and radiation, and in heat it includes dry heat sterilization and moist heat sterilization. In dry heat we talked about incineration and dry oven, and in moist heat sterilization we talked about steam under pressure, boiling water, pasteurization, tintelization, and it also involved radiation, that is ionizing and non-ionizing radiations. And then we came to the mechanical methods of such as filtration of air and liquid, and finally we concluded with the chemical agents.